Every year, tons of people, from farmers and horticulturists to college students and families, begin seeds for transplanting. The most commonly used method is to purchase disposable plug trays to start seeds. These plug trays, like the one seen here, can be found at commercial garden stores everywhere. Although they may seem incredibly convenient, these plug trays are actually costly, flimsy, detrimental to plant growth, and are extremely wasteful. More and more people are now turning to a different method, the soil block method. From my home garden to the farm I work at, the soil block method has proven time and time again to be the most reliable and effective way for starting seeds for transplanting. Today, we'll take a deeper look into this method by first defining the soil block method, next identifying the advantages and disadvantages for using this method, and finally, by concluding with a demonstration on how to make your own soil blocks at home. So, what is a soil block? According to The New Organic Grower by Elliott Coleman, page 133, a soil block is a cube of lightly compressed potting soil, which is exactly what it is. This is an example of a soil block. This is a 2-inch block. It's a lightly compressed potting soil. The soil block is not only the container, but also the growth medium for the seeds. Now that we know what a soil block is, let's identify the advantages for using the soil block method. The first advantage for using the soil block method is that it's less expensive in the long run. Often with the disposable plug trays, as shown in just a minute ago, you have to replace them every year because they are flimsy and better to be used only one time a year. So the soil block method, you only need to purchase a soil block maker one time, and it can be used for multiple years. According to Johnny Seeds, a website of Johnny Selected Seeds, last accessed on September 15, 2014, a 2-inch soil block maker costs $30. So the initial startup cost for soil block method is only what it costs to purchase the soil block maker and the potting soil. The next advantage to using the soil block maker is that it's easily customizable. Unlike the plastic plug tray, which comes in a set number, a set width, and a set depth, the soil block method is highly customizable. You can decide as the planter to make as many soil blocks as you need, to make them at the width you prefer. The soil block maker comes in the 3/4 inch, 2-inch, 1.5 inch, and 3-inch widths. And you can also decide what kind of tray you want to have them in. A wooden tray, plastic tray, a 1-foot tray, 2-foot tray. The last and most important advantage of using the soil block maker is that it's better for the plants. Oftentimes, a complaint of gardeners using the plastic plug trays is that it restricts the growth of the roots. The soil block method eliminates this problem because the container is the soil. There is no restrictive growth because there is no plastic with holding all of the roots in the system. The soil blocks are only separated by air. And so according to the August 2008 Volume 10, Number 8 issue of the Ester Republic newspaper, states that the soil block maker creates a less growing barriers for the plant. This is beneficial because the plant is in a very vulnerable stage of its life. And so to restrict its growth is extremely detrimental to its health. The last and most important factor for the plant health is considering the stress it goes through when it's being transplanted. Using the soil block method decreases the risk of transplant shock, and it also improves the plant health after transplant. The soil blocks are highly compressed soil that are extremely nutrient dense. This is extremely beneficial once you transplant the plant into the field. Although there are distinct advantages to using the soil block method, there are also a few drawbacks. The first drawback is that there's a learning curve. It might be time consuming for a first-time user to understand and to get proficient and efficient at using the soil block method. However, I think after a few times, maybe 1 or 2 times using the soil blocker, it becomes very easy for you to adjust and overcome the learning curve. The second is that the soil block maker does have a higher initial cost, and so it would be beneficial for gardeners that plan on using the soil block method for multiple years, or for larger gardens or small-scale farming. Now that we know the advantages and disadvantages to the soil block method, let's now take a look at how you can make your own soil blocks at home. Like I said, in order to use the soil block method, you need to purchase the soil blocker. The soil blocker is a metal device, and mine is the 2-inch soil blocker. It has 4 blocks, and these will be used to create the soil blocks. So before you begin making the soil blocks, you need to make the potting soil. This isn't different from using the plastic plug tray, where you also need to make a potting soil. However, with the soil blockers, you do need to make a specific soil mix for your blocks. This consists of a mixture of peat moss and perlite, which you can purchase commercially as a product called Pro Mix. So once you purchase Pro Mix, you mix 4 parts Pro Mix to 3 parts compost. This creates very nutrient dense and highly easy to compact soil for your soil blocks. Once you create this mixture, you then add 1 gallon of water for every 3 gallons of potting mix. And so that's what I have here. I have this bucket here for mixing the soil, and then for adding the water. So I've already added the water to here, and now I will use the soil blocker to compact. I will compact the soil into the soil blocker to make the soil blocks. So it's very easy. You just have to compress down and move it around in the soil to make sure it's highly compacted so that it forms a very uniform shape in the blocker. So then once you take it out, you can look to see that it's flat. You can, if you want, press down on it. Then you will put the soil blocker where you want your soil blocks to stay. I have them in this tray. You lightly pull up and you go like that, and then you've made your soil blocks. This particular device makes 4 blocks at a time. It's the 2-inch width, but like I said, this technology is highly customizable. There are soil block makers that you use while you're standing that can make 12 blocks at a time or 16 blocks at a time. This is probably more suitable for gardeners, not for people that are producing for farms. And so, as you can see here, they are each their individual soil block. The only thing that separates them is the air. It's very important to keep them moist after you plant the seeds. Another thing I should point out is that in the soil blocker, there are also 4 cubes in here. There's 4 larger square cubes, and then inside there are 4 other cubes that will create an indent into the soil block so that you can plant, so that you can set each seed inside. As you can see here, although there's a learning curve to using this method, at the farm that I work at, I can make 600 blocks an hour with no plastic and no flimsy containers that I need to either store every year or throw away to buy new ones next year. The soil block method is simpler, more effective, and less expensive than the plastic plug trays. They are easily customizable, and they're better for the plant during its most vulnerable stage of growth. So the next time you go to Earl May and you see a plastic plug tray, think of all the time, money, and plastic that's wasted. Hopefully next year you can try using the soil block method for your plants. Thank you.